If you look back at the very dawn of the Ottoman Empire, the era of Ertuğrul Gazi and his son Osman, you are stepping into what historians call a black hole. The early Ottomans were a fierce, nomadic people. They forged their legacy with iron and blood, not with ink and parchment. Because the earliest surviving Ottoman chronicles were not written until roughly a century later, pop culture and massive television epics have stepped in to fill the blanks, heavily dramatizing these lives with cinematic fiction. But amidst the legends, the myths, and the screenplays, there is a warrior whose name echoes through the verified historical archives. He was not a myth, he was an absolute documented reality. His name was Turgut Alp. And while we may not have the play-by-play of his every sword swing, the fact-checked, historically verified achievements of his life prove that the truth was just as epic as the legend. In the realm of historical cinema, giving a character a highly specific, unique signature weapon is usually a Hollywood invention designed to look good on camera. But for Turgut, it is a matter of historical record. While the standard deadly weapon for a Turkic Ghazi cavalryman was the kilij, the traditional curved sword, and the composite bow, Turgut chose a different path. He specialized in a massive, devastating battle axe. He wielded it with such terrifying effectiveness that it became his literal historical trademark. He didn't just carry it into battle, he carried it into history. Today, what is believed to be his original heavy battle axe is preserved and on display at the Harbiye Military Museum in Istanbul, a physical testament to the man's sheer physical power. To truly understand the raw, terrifying bravery of Turgut Alp, you have to understand how 13th century warfare actually worked. The nomadic Turkic tribes survived by utilizing hit-and-run light cavalry tactics, raining arrows on heavy Byzantine infantry from a safe distance. It was highly effective, but eventually, someone had to close the distance and break the enemy's armored shield wall. This was the Vanguard, the absolute most dangerous, casualty-heavy position on the entire battlefield. Turgut Alp was the tip of that spear. His specific brand of bravery was not just fighting, it was volunteering for the deadliest job. With his massive axe, he was the shock trooper who charged directly into the heavy Byzantine phalanxes, using the sheer weight of his weapon to shatter wooden shields and break the enemy lines so the rest of the cavalry could pour in. This fearless, brutal combat style was put to the ultimate test at the Battle of Domaniç in 1287. A massive coalition of Byzantine lords, Tekfurs, united to wipe out Osman's growing tribe once and for all. The battle was a horrific, bloody meat grinder fought in the mountain passes. It was so vicious that Osman's own brother, Saru Batu Savci Bey, was killed in the carnage. When the Ottoman lines wavered under the heavy Byzantine assault, it was vanguard commanders like Turgut Alp who threw themselves into the absolute thickest, deadliest parts of the melee. His refusal to retreat, fighting face-to-face against heavily armored Byzantine knights, was instrumental in turning a potential massacre into a decisive, survival-assuring victory for the Ottoman state. Turgut was not just a brute force warrior, he was a grand master of warfare, and his crowning military achievement permanently altered the trajectory of his people. By the year 1299, the budding Ottoman state faced a massive, heavily fortified obstacle, the Byzantine castle of İnegöl. The local Byzantine ruler, Tekfur Aya Nikola, was a massive thorn in Osman's side, constantly ambushing Ottoman caravans and threatening their survival. Osman did not send an army, he sent Turgut. Turgut Alp orchestrated a grueling, relentless, months-long siege. He slowly starved the defenders, bombarded the walls, and finally, in 1299, he successfully breached the fortress. Turgut defeated the garrison and personally executed Aya Nikola. This was not just a victory, it was a structural paradigm shift. Turgut's conquest of İnegöl marked one of the very first times the Ottomans transitioned from a nomadic tribe living in tents to an empire holding fortified cities. Usually, when a military commander conquers a city, the sovereign takes it and assigns an administrator. But because of Turgut's immense, unwavering loyalty, Osman I did something unprecedented. He gave the entire region of İnegöl and its surrounding villages directly to Turgut Alp to rule. The official Ottoman historical records reflect this incredible honor. For centuries, this entire geographical region wasn't even called İnegöl. It was officially registered in the state archives as Turgut ili, the province of Turgut. He governed it successfully for over 30 decades, proving he was as brilliant a statesman as he was a soldier. But what elevates Turgut from a great commander to a legendary historical anomaly is his sheer, terrifying physical endurance. In the brutal world of 14th century warfare, most frontline warriors died young. Turgut not only outlived Ertuğrul and Osman, but he remained an active frontline military commander well into his extreme old age. In 1325, Osman's son Orhan was preparing to conquer the massive, heavily defended city of Bursa. To do this, they first had to clear out the surrounding Byzantine strongholds. Turgut Alp, who was likely in his 80s or 90s at this point, rode out to war once again. Alongside another famous commander, Mihal Gazi, the elderly Turgut successfully conquered the Atranos castle. His victory directly paved the way for the fall of Bursa the very next year. Today, if you travel to the famous tomb of Ertuğrul Gazi in the town of Soyut, you will see a grave for Turgut Alp right outside the doors, standing guard over his leader. But that grave is completely empty. It is an honorary marker placed there to immortalize his loyalty. The real fact-checked burial site of Turgut Alp lies in the mountains near the very city he conquered. He is buried in a quiet rural cemetery in the village of Turgut Alp, just outside of İnegöl. He passed away peacefully around the year 1335. He closed his eyes, having lived to see the impossible. He watched a small, vulnerable band of 400 nomadic tents transform into a recognized, terrifying state that would one day rule the world. If you enjoyed this epic deep dive into the true history of the Ottoman Empire and want to see more legendary campaigns, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. I'm YAMO, and I'll see you on the next episode of History Watch.